Are we going?
I guess so.
Do you have an intro?
I have no intro. Well, you saw the one time I had an intro, I fucked up which number we were on.
That is the new intro. Just miscounting it. Just pick a number out of your top of your head.
So I don't know if we're going to go with 5. I guess we are going to go with 5. So now we're episode 5 live here in a new location. Happy Memorial Day. I mean, holiday special. Got out of the house. Wife kicked me out. But you know, it is what it is.
If you don't recognize where we are, you might not fucking train enough.
Exactly.
I wanted to come out strong with the hard F-bomb, setting the tone.
What was the F-bomb?
That was it. I just did it. Just the F word.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
I wanted to just drop it right out of the gate.
Well, that's our one.
We're going to have to change the ratings on this already.
I don't know if you're getting monetized for any of these or not.
No, I'm not anyway. It doesn't matter.
I know we've cursed more than enough on them.
I know we talked about some of the promotion stuff the last time, but
yeah,
I did not understand any of John's black belt bar stuff. Did you know about all that? The tradition of that?
I knew about it, but I didn't pay attention.
I had no idea what you were talking about.
I honestly didn't know those were stripes you put on it. I just thought you bought the belt like that. I guess I just never paid attention.
I didn't
looking at his belt.
I remember at the promotion and Scott was talking about it, and I was like, I'm gonna have to look this up after to see like the context, whatever the hell. And I forgot. And then when we walked in, I saw his black belt hanging. And he had both of his black belts, his Kings and then his Dogwood one. And I was like, oh, which one's is the promotion one? And then I saw the sidebars on there. I'm like, oh, that one. And I was like, I forgot that I was going to look into that more about the tradition or like the history of that because I had no idea. He was talking about coaching and years and bars, and I was like, I did not know this was a thing.
I want to say it's like every 3 years they get a stripe, I think, but I could be wrong.
I thought, they started striping or doing whatever, and I was like, is that towards the coral? Or I guess that's a whole different thing. Or it is towards coral?
Because coral, like the black and red, that's like the 6th, 7th degree stripe. So once you get there, like, I mean, that's when it changes colors, but you still have all your stripes as that black belt.
I don't even know if you're going to know the answer to this or not. So how do you get a degree then? Is it each black belt? Because I know Scott is like a 3rd degree black belt or something, and each one is like a different black belt signed off on like the Melanson gave him one. Whatever, the Godfather of
I don't think that's how that works.
It's not?
I think Melanson gave him his own black belt, like a Melanson black belt.
I just thought that counts as a stripe. Maybe I was like, maybe you should go under. I think in my head, you should go to each different like specialty and sign off and get a black belt from them, and like each one of that counts as a degree.
That'd make for a pretty good video.
So it's just like just being a year as a black belt counts as a degree.
Yeah, that's why I said like every 3 years you get a stripe on your black belt. So as a teacher.
Oh, as a teacher.
I think it's the Jordan teaches jiu-jitsu. That's how he described it.
So is every 3 years a degree, or that's different?
I mean, don't quote me on that. I mean, I'm not a black belt.
I think you should go to each. I think you should go to new black belts and get. You
gotta earn those stripes.
Yeah. You get like a Eddie Bravo black belt. It's like that's just an additional degree. They should have these like peers. You know what I'm saying? Those are boss battles, like in gaming. You have to go to each one.
I was thinking about Pokemon. You probably going to the different gyms getting the
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I have no idea how any of this stuff works. You guys can tell I clearly am not very motivated by the belt stuff.
But no, it's like, let's just say if you're under Hickson, he's a red belt now. Like I want to say it is every 3 years, like you get your next stripe on your black belt. But with Hickson, he's being very strict with the age as well. Like you have to be like 60 something or years old or 70 before you get your red belt, or you have to teach for like 35 years before you get to the corals or something. I'm probably misquoting that, but it's like that, like years of you instructing others is that when you work your way up. I think that's a requirement, but I don't think that guarantees you a stripe or not.
I got you.
I do know it takes 2 stripes before you can start black belting others.
Oh, really?
Because that's when Scott got his 2nd stripe. That's when we went under the affiliation of him, so because he could start, and that's when he gave John his black belt.
Who does his black belt stuff?
I don't know.
No idea. Somebody higher up.
We'd like to know.
That's always like, I always wondered like at work, it's you guys send stuff off to get calibrated, and then you're like, well, who calibrates the people's stuff that's calibrating your stuff? And it's like, well, then who calibrates that? And it's just a tier list. I don't know. I always wonder about that.
I can tell you some of that.
That's what like
scales
and
my career life. I am in quality. Like I can tell, we go through Memphis Scale. Yeah, it's just Memphis Scale. They check all of our scales at our place to make sure it's calibrated correctly.
But then who checks their stuff?
A higher organization. I actually saw it this week on the paperwork. They're so and so certified, which ISO 9001 is a big certificate.
Yeah.
Like we go through that a lot, like there. But who keeps them in check? I don't know. I guess just accreditation.
You know that they don't send their shit to anybody. It's probably been like the same for 30 years or something crazy.
Maybe.
I don't know who would check the tolerances for that.
That's also the same thing. It's like I do know my boss told me once, the amount of zeros behind a gauge is how accurate it is. The more zeros you go, obviously the more accurate it is. So I was like, just never looked at it like that. It's like, like the difference between a tape measure and a caliper, or you get into the digital stuff, and it's like, that's when it starts mattering. But I've seen like a Martin Marvel episode where the ones where they keep up with time, and it's like how close to a second is really a second, and how they measure it. Apparently that's what it was on that Voyager 2. I think that's exited our galaxy not too long ago. Like on it has like the symbol of, which element is that? The single one, the very first one, hydrogen, I think.
You're testing me on the
science part,
on the tables. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Showing the nerd part of me of all those shows I used to watch. But on this, got a few different things on there, and one of them is the element with a single not neutron, but one of the others that circle it.
Oh yeah, the neutrons, the protons, electrons.
The electron going around it,
around the nucleus.
And how fast it's moving. That's how they did an equation on there to show like our time frame, how we count a second. So I guess that's where it boils down to calibration. There, them science nerds at universities and other institutes, and we just agree with them.
Have you taken any of your nieces to any movies before, like movie theater?
Mm-mm.
How old are they? 7 and something.
10 and 7 going on 8.
I asked this because we're trying to figure out if the daughter's, she just turned 4. If she's old enough to go to like her first movie at the movie theater, if she's gonna like sit through it, or if she'll be trying to get up and.
There's only one way to find out.
I know. So we were talking about it, but then we were trying to figure out like when we went to the movies first ourselves, and so the wife was talking to her family, and I was talking to my mom the other day about it, and I think mine was Aladdin or something, and I think hers was Lion King, or maybe it was flip flopped, something along those lines. And so we were talking about going to see the new Lilo and Stitch, maybe. But if we don't, I know How to Train a Dragon or whatever's coming out in the near future. And I like that animation.
I think we were talking about that last time too. But
yeah,
about those.
Yeah, just trying to figure out if
I can tell you they both have been in a theater with their parents and watched. I know my oldest niece Riley, she's a little more restless, but so it depends on the movie, and if she'll get up in front of the screen and actually like stand and dance with them or this or that.
Have you watch Bluey sometimes, right, with your nieces or whatever? There's one episode where they take, I think Bluey's the oldest one, I don't remember. They take Bluey to her first movie or maybe Bingo, whatever. They both go, and Bluey was scared or whatever. But the dad's like up chasing Bingo through the movie theater the whole time. She's like up and down the rows and all over the place, and he's like and has to keep getting up. And I imagine like it could go like that. But we were talking about if we'd go to the one at Tiptonville, to Stranded or whatever it's called, or the one you guys were talking about that you go to over in Jackson.
Empire 8, yeah.
And I was like, I don't know where we would even go yet. I thought maybe the Tiptonville is because it'd be quiet, but it might not be so quiet.
I'd say the matinees would probably be the best.
That's what we were talking about. Some weird time where just not a lot of people is what we were playing.
Because, they are kids. Either they are who they are. They're going to get up and move, or they're going to sit like me.
Trying to like make it the least amount of interruptions for other people.
Because like I said, I can remember my first movie was Casper, the live action.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't think I was 3. I can tell you, I sat in that seat the whole time. I never was one that got up and moved through the theater. Really? I like movies.
We were talking about too. I was trying to find out where a movie theater was, like a drive-in movie theater. I was like, maybe that'd be cool. And then they usually have double features or whatever. It's like you can just fall asleep. But the last time we went to one when we first moved here, and I don't know if you've been to one in a long time, but everyone's cars are newer now. And so it took me a minute to figure out how to like get her headlights off on her car because everything's automatic and how to like keep it off. And then you're using the speakers on the car. Well, after a while, if nothing happens, like it just shuts everything off. So you had to keep like starting it up every once in a while and then letting it turn it off and then let the speakers be on. I don't know. It was like a whole thing without. And then I was worried about the batteries, and I was like, this would have been way easier if we just brought a boom box with batteries or something and just tuned into the station and not have to worry about all this. But just funny that all the cars are different nowadays than what they were. And like you used to be able to just turn the key the one notch and just let the battery go with the radio and everything.
Yeah.
And I guess periodically just start it so you don't drain your battery. But I hadn't thought about any of that as an adult with the modern cars, and things just shut off now and more automatic.
My 94, only reason why I remember, because the vehicle I wrecked, my 94 Explorer, it was kind of like that. It actually had a power button on the radio where I had to turn the radio off when I got out. Because when I wrecked it, I had to go back in there and turn it off because it was just blaring.
And the only reason I even was worried about it is that being in high school, we'd go to like bonfire parties or whatever, and people would be using different cars for playing music. And then their car wouldn't be able to start. They'd drain the battery too much or whatever and have to jump each other. So that's the only reason it was even thinking in my head. I was like, I think it's been a while since we started it. So you're trying to start the car, but you don't want the headlights to go on. So you're like trying to adjust all these settings. And with my truck, I know exactly how it is, but operating her car is different.
So here's a question, kind of random but relates. Does your truck have automatic headlights?
Yeah, but I don't use that. I always do it.
I was about that. I'm the same way.
No.
I always tell Callie that too. I'm just like, because she'll do that and the automatic high beam. She's like, it detects it when the other vehicles come up. I'm like, no, if you see headlights in front of you, turn your high beams off. Be considerate of other drivers with sensitive eyes.
And you know what? It's funny is ever since I got to like 35, all of a sudden those high beams have been driving me crazy like the last year, especially if it's raining or something. I'm like, Jesus Christ,
my eyes have been like that the year before.
I might need to get glasses for driving in the near future. I don't know. That's like a newer thing for me.
Right.
And yeah.
I think it's more because of all these automatic high beams that are probably just more prominent.
You can tell with the newer cars, they have those different bulbs or whatever, and it just irritates my eyes way more.
I was one of those teenagers that had the HID headlights with the blue lights. What?
I can tell like when the new bulbs are on.
Yep. Like them blue ones, they would shine. I only had the running lights though, but so my high beams, I'd turn them on, they wouldn't be as bright. Flying up, but I mean,
there's been times where I flashed my high beams with those new cars, and then they flashed me with theirs back. You're like, oh, damn, that's not even your high beams. That's just super bright.
Some of them are those trucks when they get those leveling kits put on them, and they don't adjust their headlights back down. That's why some of those, like the trucks, when they high beam you back.
That makes more sense.
High beam you back, and they're like, sorry, bro. And it's like, well, adjust your shit down.
So I don't remember if I talked about this last time or not, but we talked about, I made a comment to the daughter a week or two ago about how we were going to go to the rodeo in monster trucks, and she took that to the grave with her or whatever. She keeps bringing it up like every day, and I was like, well, I said that we need to look into it and that maybe we could go.
Yeah, you gotta be careful what you say to those
so every
kids.
day she's like, we going to the rodeo today? I'm like, I don't even know when the rodeo is. I just thought maybe it'd be fun if she'd be into it or not. So that's why I asked you about the one at Martin a while back, and she still's like, we going to the monster trucks today? And I was like, I don't think they're in town.
No, though, I want to think that was rare. That might have been the second time they've ever gone to Martin, because I never knew about monster trucks being around here when I was a kid.
So that's something we're going to try to figure out. She had some kids in her class that went, because we were talking about that too. I was like, I don't know if she's old enough or to be interested or whatever. And she had some little classmates that went, and I guess they liked it. But they were little boys too, so I don't know if that makes a difference, playing with all the little Hot Wheels versus...
It could, I guess.
She's kind of a tomboy. She likes all the dangerous stuff. But I remember when I was little going to I went to like a lot of motocross stuff. We had a lot of in Indianapolis. I don't know if there's anything in Memphis like that, but if you knew anything.
I know not around here from what I know. Or my mom hid it from me.
Are you into racing stuff at all?
Dude, I'm in so many things. I loved racing stuff. Like,
do you watch like NASCAR or keep up with any of that stuff?
That was something my grandfather watched a lot every Sunday. And I don't know, it's just, I remember just coming, I was too busy to sit, I couldn't sit still and watch it in and out of the house, outside doing stuff. And sometimes I watch it, sometimes I keep up, sometimes I don't. I do follow Buddy Wallace. He's the one who drives the 23 car now for Michael Jordan's. Michael Jordan's in NASCAR, and so I started following him on Instagram. Might be Bubba Wallace. I think.
Bubba?
I think so.
I think Bubba Wallace sounds familiar to me.
There was another driver. There's a Bubba Watson in golf.
Oh, yeah.
That might be who I'm getting.
That could be.
I think I'm confusing with. But I think Bubba Wallace is the NASCAR driver.
My buddy texted me yesterday, and he was at the Indy 500 race, and he was talking to me about it. And you probably don't watch Indy cars. Nobody gives a crap about Indy cars. I think there's one American driver, but the Indy 500 is just a big reason to party in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And I don't know who even watches the races. They just go to party, and it's just a huge drinking event. And then in the middle, they have a concert, which is called the Snake Pit. And so you need like a general admission ticket to get in the race, and then you need a separate ticket if you're going to go to the party. And my buddy was texting me. He's like, do you think we could still go to the party and day drink and do all that stuff? I was like, I don't know anymore, buddy. I was like, we haven't gone in 5 or 6 years at this point now, but we used to go every year and just go to the party part in the middle. And it'd be, the night before was more country rock type of stuff. And then the day of the race would be like EDM and like that type of music.
I could see that.
And it was just a rave, and there'd be crashes and stuff going on, and none of us even knew. It was so isolated, even though it's in the middle of the track and you have to go through a tunnel underneath everything to get to it. I was like, you have no idea what's going on with the races. It's just its own entity. But I was like, it's cool because they're trying to, I think, build up these younger people and getting more attendance and younger generations involved and trying to do fun things like that. But, talking about NASCAR or whatever, it's like, I remember Danica Patrick and some of these people I'm sure aren't even racing anymore. I don't know.
I think Danica's career wasn't very long in NASCAR anyway.
No. And then they had a couple people get into NASCAR, I think, for fun, just trying to get some attention, and I don't think any of them did well.
I think those were probably more out passion. They got into there. Like, they might have been movie actors or musicians or something, and they got in there, did it for a little bit, but I mean, I've heard all the jokes about, they're just going in a circle for 3 hours, but it's still 200 miles an hour. It's not really AC in there, and you're constantly being pulled with the G-forces. Thinking of NASCAR, like that's the most simple one, and you're bumper to bumper with each other, and those drives can actually cause wrecks without even touching each other if you're not actually paying attention, and you're locked in too. The way how you're rigid. Because you're not as loose, because that's where Dale Earnhardt, when he slammed his head, they used to be a lot more freedom of movement in there. But
did you one of the actors from Malcolm in the Middle, I think, is a NASCAR driver.
I saw that.
I saw some clip about him trying to film. I guess they're making a comeback with the show or whatever 20 years later, and they're trying to film around his schedule.
I want to say he's been involved in that for a little bit now.
I didn't even know. Like I said, I really don't pay attention to NASCAR. I just was curious.
He was actually one of them I was thinking about that actually is, I think, kind of passionate about racing and whatnot. I know Gene Simmons from KISS, he really loves F1, and I know he not racing, but on the business side of it, trying to get involved with it, which that was like 10 or 12 years ago when I saw that.
I have a buddy that's into the F1 racing, and
apparently
he'll stay up at weird times to watch it because it's in Europe or whatever, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and he's watching something.
I know those F1 people are different. Like they really love it.
Yeah, he's really into it, and I don't think there's any American drivers in that, even maybe 1 or 2. It's not very dominant over here. But
we're too busy with our NASCAR.
I remember when I was little, we used to go to the races. My grandpa was really into it. And it was a sprint car thing in the mud, and all these seats were open near the front, and we're like, oh great, we can go right up there. Got smoked with like a mud ball and was crying when I was like 4 or 5. And everyone else, he's like, oh, that's why these chairs are open.
Nobody wants to be.
But the guy that cuts my hair, this barber in town, he's always talking about these different sprint car races, and he goes around Tennessee, I guess, to a lot of them and these tracks. I was like, oh, that would be neat. I was like, I forgot that's even a thing. And then I'm guessing you never been over to that drag strip over there on Great River Road.
I was actually about to mention one of our members in here, Carl, and her husband. I know Callie's told me they've talked about her husband. They've gone to the drag strip to watch, as well as his 2 tenor cars he has.
Oh, he's into that?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
I don't know if they still are or not, but I know she mentioned it once before. They used to do that.
I've driven by because I'll be working Saturdays or whatever, and it'll be going on. I'll be like, oh, I didn't even know about it. Like, I don't pay attention on their Facebook or whatever. A lot of people seem to show up. It's loud. A lot of people come to, I guess, do the times and all the stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure if you had a car and you're into that. Like, yeah. I mean, if I had the money and I'd be doing it too. Like,
there's a lot of old tracks that are abandoned and like dilapidating that you can go visit and do stuff on that I guess people just don't care about anymore.
well,
There used
that's
to be old tours that people would go on. If you're like a racing fan of
well.
the history.
I know one of the tropes that happened a while back. I don't know if it still happens now, but a big argument used to be like they'd make these drag strips out in the middle of nowhere, but then people start building houses near it, and then they start complaining like, the drag noises on the weekends, and it was like, and then they get shut down. So I know that used to happen a lot, but I don't know if it still happens much anymore. But I know that was a big argument with a bunch of groups that I used to follow on Facebook. But,
It'd be cool to go out there to what is it, the Salt Lake Flats over there in Utah, where they're trying to like beat records for the fastest time, the breaking speed of light or whatever, speed of sound. And
this is going to sound random, but it relates. Did you ever watch like Power Nation or any of that on the weekends?
Mm-mm.
Like the Power Block and those different car shows where they work on stuff?
I've probably seen some random episodes, but I never watched
that. And Mythbusters, there was a lady that was kind of a host on, I think, Extreme 4x4, but she also was one of the helpers with the side group on Mythbusters, Jessie something. I forget her name, but she actually died in 2019 on the Salt Flats. She was the fastest woman on four wheels, and she was trying to beat her previous record when her car crashed on that. I found that out just a month ago.
I did not know that.
I would look up on my phone, but it's so odd not having my phone to rely on for this information.
I remember I did a report like on the Baja 500 or whatever it was, where they do the big tour with the off-road trucks.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty neat thing. And they'd get celebrities that would want to rent cars and go try, and just a big reason. I think that's what Fear and Loathing's about, or he did some stuff with the Baja.
That was a race. I believe that was like a motorcycle race out there in the desert.
What it was, something like that. But I knew he did some reports on some of the racing.
But yeah, that's what the book's about him as a, well, not exactly him. He turned himself fictional, but it's him and a bunch of other reporter friends following that. But he made a fictional tale of it.
Yeah.
Well, even though, it kind of really happened.
That story's that movie's so weird. Fighting bats and stuff.
I still haven't. I still haven't watched.
I don't know if you're missing anything.
I've only seen maybe like 20 minutes.
I ought to read the book and compare it, because it's a pretty.
Like I said, it had my head hurting there for a minute. I was like, you know what? I watched this at a different time.
It's just random stuff. Fear and Loathing, Las Vegas.
Would like to read the book too, but I know I've watched a documentary about Hunter S. Thompson, and he seems like an interesting.
Yeah, I've seen some weird documentaries, but that movie's just weird.
Apparently, he was friends with Jimmy Buffett too.
Was he?
Mm-hmm.
But man, I got all kinds of random stuff on here. You want me to just jump around?
Sure.
I got like some ADD notes going on today.
I got 2 notes.
Let's hear one of your notes.
Favorites in the gym. Any favorite drilling training? I got favorites in the gym and stereotypes in the gym.
Favorite what?
That's all I got written down.
Favorites. It's man, open broad.
You joke about ADD. I live it. These thoughts come and go so quick. Sometimes I forget them.
I don't have any
favorites in the gym. Maybe like favorite drilling partners, favorite rolling partners. Just people when you see them in there, it's like, you know what? I fucking love that guy. There's our second F-bomb.
I don't think that positive stuff usually stands out. It's usually something negative if it sticks out in my mind.
We'll change that.
Yeah,
we'll reprove such emotions out of you.
I don't know. I just like to roll. I just like to have lots of rolls. That's it. Variety. I like to change it up. I like when I have room to roll. I like when you're able to scramble. It's hard to get enough space in here on no-gi nights anymore. It's like I have 2 square feet to roll around in, and you try to fight out anything, and we're going to kick somebody or whatever.
And that's really why.
It's like you can only shrimp. You can only do a baby shrimp, or else you're going to hit somebody.
Hate to bring up Seth again. Me not rolling with him until September, but that's kind of why I'm punishing him for that, because it seems like every time we roll, he turns it into that, to where it kind of turns into a scramble. And I'm like, we got people all around.
Well, I can give you a prime example. So when Scott was here, which promotions, everybody's here. People you don't see in 6 months or whatever. Extra people are here. So he's hunting darces or anacondas. I made that comment about that head pressure was an issue or wasn't seeing enough of it or whatever. So I'm rolling with Scott, and he's hunting this stuff. Well, when you're finding darces and anacondas, you're trying to front roll out or not letting them catch you with their leg to pull it all in. Well, I got freaking 6 groups around me that are all white belts, and I'm like, fucking move, man. There's supposed to be like a seniority around here that just went away. I don't know.
There was nowhere to.
I mean, we weren't even being spazzy or anything, but it's like there was no room to even scramble or roll. I'm like, this is just annoying.
Right. I guess that's part of the challenge. Sometimes I usually try to
but a lot
put
of the
my
defense
mindset.
Is like trying to roll or do something. I was like, if you don't have any room, like this is stupid.
Sometimes during those situations, I do try to focus my mindset on like relate it to if we were outside. If it was a random person, we landed somewhere in a tight space and I couldn't. Sometimes I do justify in my
Sometimes there's
head.
fights in a parking lot. You end up in a small.
Look, you're in between 2 vehicles. You landed between a couple of dumpsters. It's like, life choices, you know. Yeah, whatever rationale you need in your head to make the moment fit.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of favorites. I guess I don't really have any favorites.
Wow, not even me. Damn.
No, I like variety. I like to go with big guys. I like to go with little guys. I like sometimes we've talked about lots of movement or speed, and then other times some of the strength stuff. Like Travis tried to kill me sometimes recently, and then Greg and I have had some good rolls lately, and
yeah,
Seth, me and him, it's like I know he's gonna get into an armbar situation at one point. It's like we kind of I don't know. You roll with the same people so much, it's like you kind of get stuck in your avenues of the events of the moves that it's going to go, and there's not. You try to throw something different in there to see if it's going to split off into something new, but it's like it usually goes back to the same tendencies.
And that's what I usually try to avoid while rolling too. If I go the same route, it drives me crazy.
Jacob's been scrappy lately, and Jordan Malamatos is always freaking scrappy. And I don't know if they've done any rounds together, but I'd be interested in watching that because they all kind of have a similar body type.
I can't remember if they did or not.
Kind of linky and flipping and rolling, and like he fights out of a lot of stuff. Both of them do.
I was about to say that's probably.
Both of them might get in like some armbar situations,
them
flipping
too.
and spinning, and
I'll say Jordan and Ryan. Well, Jordan, Jacob, and Ryan. I say those 3 are my favorites in the gym with rolling with because it's always fun rolling with them with the techniques that they use.
I'll say this too. I've had a handful of people, probably about 10 people lately that are like, oh man, I want to wrestle more. I want to get better at wrestling. Da da da. And I always tell them like, just stand up. If you want to fucking wrestle more, you just gotta have to, like. There's no secret to it. Just stand up. And when I'm rolling around in here, Jordan Malamatos almost always stands up. And like, even if we only have 2 feet around us, he starts trying to like do standing passing stuff and Toro pass, X passing and stuff. Like he's playing with it more. And then even now, like with Jacob, we'll be by the wall or whatever. It's like we start wall wrestling. I'm like, all right, well, we got so many people by us, and I'm looking around for groups. It's like we just been standing up a lot more, even though we don't have the room for it.
I like it.
Seth would do a little bit, but I mean, Seth and Jordan and guys, it's like they cover a lot of space when it goes down, so it's a little bit harder for us to stay without it landing on people.
Jordan Stewart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're just broader,
Yeah.
But
them lower blue
people
belts.
want to wrestle more. I'm like, you just have to stand up.
They just don't understand their spacing.
Bring me into my segue that I fucking hate comp rounds. I think they are stupid. I don't understand the point of them. They don't simulate anything at all. I don't like watching them. I don't like being in them. And I just find them overall annoying in general because we don't do them in the gi usually. It's usually only no gi. And it's like if we have 5 minutes after class, why don't we all just get another round of rolling in or hurry up and close up class and get the fuck out of the way so then people can wrestle or do some stand-up stuff before MMA starts, like if that's the point. Because it's usually like a 2.5 minute round or whatever, so it's not the right time. And they're saying, calm down, so you're not really going that hard. So what's it supposed to simulate? They're like, oh, well, it gives people a chance to stand up and wrestle. Well, why don't you just get out of the way and let us stand up and wrestle then? Like, why are we all watching 2 people? There could be like 6, 7, 8, 9 groups going with that much room. I don't know. I don't get it. It drives me crazy. I hate them. I just don't see the point of it. And
tell me how you really feel.
That's it. That's people are complaining about how they want to wrestle more, do stand up more. It's like, all right, well, give us the opportunity then. Get out of the way.
I want to say the comp rounds used to be it was like our way of getting ready for a tournament.
That's what I'm saying, but it's not that anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's like a weird little dog. It's like a flow stand up thing, and then the whole time they're like, calm down. It's like, and it's 2 minutes, and they usually stop it early because they don't want people to get hurt. So it's like, well, what is the point of this?
I think some of the calming down part is kind of reminding the the people inside of it, like, you need, don't get too tunnel vision while rolling, because it's supposed to simulate an actual competition tournament where you got to have some energy for the next match too, but also knowing what you're doing.
We could segue that into is how come we don't do fight camps or put any attention into people that have upcoming tournaments or are trying to compete. And even if you want to say just a regular tournament, why don't we do that for people that are doing the pro matches and are trying to take it more serious? Because I know the last 2 times we've done the pro matches, the gym's been like closed. They didn't even get to roll. We had to go to Derek's both times. One time the gym was closed and we were switching gyms, which nothing you can do about it. But it's like they got the opposite of a fight camp. They didn't
and
get
I think
shit.
Derek's man ain't even a third of this,
No.
if not a quarter of it.
No, I went over there one time to like help if they needed a uki or whatever, because Seth was going to do it, I think.
Mhm.
And it was like no mat space and 100 and some degrees. So I was like, well, you guys are good over here. I'm out. And then the other time there might have been water damage or something at the Y. I don't remember what happened, but they had to go to Derek's 2 separate times. I know that. But it's like we don't shark take them. They don't get to be like, we should just have fresh people jumping on them or doing something. Or doing, we made the comment about people aren't conscious of the points, that we do more self-defense versus tournament-based jiu-jitsu or whatever. And like, you need to be thinking about going to knee on belly before full mount and like trying to rack up points. And it's like, why is nobody doing that? It's like, well, we don't practice that. We don't think about that.
I remember back in the day, like we didn't focus on points. We were kind of told like, you got to wait those 3 seconds, but we're not worried about the points. Like, fight, like stay on top, get up,
Sub
stay
only.
on top. Like, well, not necessarily sub only, but it was more of like your priorities need to be getting off the ground or staying on top. And that was pretty much in submitting the person.
That's overly
because if you stay on top,
there.
I guess you're going to get points eventually if you're on top the whole time.
Well, I know for an example, Juan had to apologize to Tanner because he was yelling something at a tournament and Tanner didn't do it and he got mad. And then after the tournament, Tanner's like, I have no idea what you were talking about, like what he was yelling. And he's like, oh, my bad. And I was laughing about it.
That was pretty much the first 3 or 4 tournaments I did.
And I was
like, I don't understand any of these terms.
But,
like, where are you?
But I was cornering Tanner. I'm just thinking this as an example that came to mind. But I was cornering Tanner for one of these little comp rounds or whatever. And I asked him, what his takedown is or whatever. And he's like, oh, I usually get taken out. And I was like, all right, well, we'll just plan on that then and be in a deficit of points, whatever. But he ended up he full mounted somebody, but was down by points. And they're like, corner him. I was like, I don't know what he knows and doesn't know. I was like, he needs to cut him and get another takedown. But he said he's not good at takedowns. It's like mudslide back to side control and try to rack up points. I was like, if there's nothing there and you're burning the clock out, I was like, they're just hanging out on bottom like they're going to win. But if you don't practice these scenarios or mindsets, it's like, how would you know that?
I want to say this is where I really value Craig's cornering.
I think know what he knew to be able to help him. I'm like,
I want to say this is where I value Craig's cornering skills, where I think he has experience cornering a lot of people that don't know terms like this, and he kind of just,
get up.
Yeah, he just says it plain and simple. It's like, go back to side control. Like, don't overcomplicate it. It's like, all right, they're in mount. You're down 1 point. Go back to side control, however which way you want. I know John Danaher, he made a comment once where, he uses strictly the Japanese terms and everything, but there's one he doesn't. This is like 3 years ago when I watched that video, but there was one, I don't know if it was for the Kimura or for the arm bar, and he's like, well, when you're in a crowd, you're at a tournament, all these crowds around you, everybody's yelling. He goes, the Japanese term for arm bar is the exact same for a leg lock. They sound that similar to He goes, so it's my job not to confuse my athlete. So he goes, I cave and I just say arm bar. Like, go for the arm bar.
I saw a meme like,
because it's kind of more of what you're telling your athlete as you're coaching. Really, you're really trying to get the verbiage to them where they'll understand it, not them understand you.
I saw a meme of Danaher like 2 days ago where he was smiling or something, and it was like, I influenced a whole generation of jiu-jitsu guys to learn Japanese or something. And I was laughing, and I was like, yeah, I didn't ever learn all that, but I know what you're saying.
You know what I just thought about?
What?
That meme where the Arnold and dude do the handshake, where it's like reasons why you learn Japanese, anime, John Danaher.
Even when I hear like Gordon Ryan talking about stuff with like Eddie Bravo and all their terms, I'm like, you guys are speaking 2 separate languages.
Well, you want to know why?
The 10th planet shit, and then like the Japanese version of shit.
Do you want to know why Eddie has his terminology?
Why?
Because he didn't know the real terminology.
That's fine.
He honestly just made it up.
I'm fine with it.
With that terminology, it was just like, well, it reminds me of this. So that's why I call it that.
We used to make up stuff. We used to rename things in wrestling. So when they were coaching or cornering, it's like the other guy that was listening didn't know what they were talking about either. So
and I think that helps a lot too.
And so, like, I'm for it. You don't name stuff here in the gym. That's fine. I don't care.
I can understand the tradition.
And it was before social media, so you didn't see like all the clips and the names of everything.
I can understand the tradition, kind of like John Danaher. It's like, well, it's paying honor to where it came from, but at the same time, when I started looking at the terms, it was like, say, like from judo, where it says like minor trip, major trip, inside, outside, and that's literally what it's translating to. It's like the bare bones, like the most simple instruction of like, yeah, right leg this way, and it's like, why don't we say that in English? It's like, it sounds so much more simpler when you translate it. It's like, I feel like the learning curve would be cut more than in half myself, but that's why I kind of like the terminology of like far side, near side, and underhook and overhook. I feel like that's our counterpart to their judo terms.
But to go back for a second is I think that competition and competing is a skill. If you don't practice it or don't do it, you're not going to be good at it. Just like you got to keep it sharp. I think
two of the biggest points for me about it is
everyone's not expected to do well at the beginning tournaments until you kind of get like a feel of it all.
One, waiting for it to happen. God, I hate the fucking waiting part.
Oh yeah.
But the other is like, you have more than one match. Don't blow your wad all in the first round. Like you got 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 more people to go against after this. It's like you're going to have to conserve some energy.
We used to do so many more drills, I guess, in wrestling that just don't do in jiu-jitsu, and I don't get why. Like, we'd start with someone in a single leg or somebody like on their knee trying to finish a double leg, and then be like, all right, one guy's defending, one guy's trying to finish it. Or we'd start, with like, hey, they took you down, you're down by 2 points. You either have to get up and escape and get a takedown or get a reversal or something. Like scenarios where you need to move and do stuff, and it's like, we don't really do that. It doesn't translate the same, I guess. It's a whole different
I feel like
mindset.
There is a balance between, I don't know how.
We play little games.
Well, between, like,
that sounds like
you have competitors and then you have hobbyists who really are here for the fun of it. I find myself torn between the two because I really do enjoy being here. But like competition wise, like you are trying to get better.
So do you think there should be competition classes instead of like advanced? Because
that's what Craig's Friday class originally started as. Was supposed to be a competition class.
That's what I thought, and it was supposed to be higher belts only, and that didn't last long. It was supposed to be like blue belts and above, and it just became like whoever's interested.
I will say, like then, like we didn't have any. I think Craig was the only purple belt.
Or maybe it was
Chris might have been a
advertised as
brown
that,
belt
and
at
Craig
that time.
didn't care. I don't remember, but and I know there's only so many blocks.
You had to be at least a 2-stripe white belt when he started his class, but then he kind of gave some leniency after a while.
And I'm kicking out the whole scenario of that there's only so many classes in a week and there's so many spots for classes. Like if you were just saying you had unlimited choices, it'd be nice if you did have competition classes or tournament type settings for focusing on versus, just because then, look, some of the stuff you learn here, it's all right, do this if it's points in a tournament, do this if it's self-defense in a street fight, do this if it's MMA, and then there's a different situation for each, which makes sense, but I don't know where I'm going with my question, I guess. It's like I was
letting you go.
I guess sometimes I wish there was a tournament class or comp class, but then I don't know how you would be able to apply that or where and when in the week.
Yeah. I kind of just
like what you said. Sometimes you're a hobbyist into stuff, and sometimes you're wanting to take it more serious. And sometimes there's stuff coming up that people want to train for, and they just don't get to. I guess start training for a tournament in the near future like that, like the pro events.
I'm kind of reflecting on how I handled a lot of those situations, especially rolling with, like I said, majority of my career.
I know Callie's like taking it serious. If she wants to do another pro event, she's like working out and wanting. I don't know if she has one in the near future in her mind, but she said she wants to do another one this year.
She's thinking about the next time they're in Memphis. I know their next one is in Arkansas. In Little Rock.
I don't think there's like a date or anything yet, right?
I don't think so. I think they're just now opening the matches for the Arkansas one. So it might be a little bit. I think it'll probably be closer to the end of the year. But no, I was kind of reflecting on like my career so far. Time training jiu-jitsu, like I've pretty much been with all the new big boys, like so many like white belts of then, and it's like, trying to through my blue belt get better, and it's like, well, I can't just demolish them every round or they're not going to want to be here. Like, so I kind of gotta, well, I don't want to completely run them away. Like I do want, because I mean, if they're just a hobbyist trying to lose weight, get in better health or shape, who am I to really run them away? Like, I'm kind of, it's not like I'm going to be the next Gordon Ryan. So it's like,
it's true.
I mean,
it's how you try to balance.
There's somewhat of a toughness you got to have, but at the same time, like, I'm not bullying nobody.
Well, there's people you roll with in here, that, like Seth, wants to go hard. There's people that you can, have a leisure roll or fun roll with, and there's other people that are like, I'm trying to fucking win. I'm trying to go hard or like get ready for whatever it is, XYZ. It's like you know how it's going to be with whoever.
And I think that's part of the martial art side of it too. It's like you got to leave your ego out of it. And it's like he starts rolling hard, and it's like my ego kind of comes up, and it's like put him in this place.
I just know, like when Jaquez had a fight coming up, or different people had a fight coming up, I was like, we Shark Tank him. It's like, all right, fresh people keep jumping on him. I know you've been here for a lot of that.
And honestly, I really love the Shark Tanks, but like, we have lost members to the Shark Tank before.
For what? Like birthdays? You don't do it for birthday. I'm just talking about for people that have stuff coming up, and like that's what a fight camp should be, right? It's like
and not a week out or 2 weeks out.
No,
you ought to be doing, like, I have my theory. If your match is Saturday at 6 p.m., every Saturday at 6 p.m., you ought to be simulating that all day. You're getting ready. You're going through your routine, and at 6 p.m. you step on the mat, and it's like,
and you should
let's spar. Let's do this. Let's get going.
Yeah, and then it's like you should be
like all 12 weeks leading up to that moment,
and fine-tuning stuff before your fight camp. And your fight camp should be more cardio-based and like getting into shape up into it. And even then, it's like a week or 2 hours should be tapering. You shouldn't be going balls to the wall a week out trying to catch up on all this lost time. Like, it's too late now. It is what it is at this point.
42 minutes.
I don't know. I listen to a lot of different fight camp stuff on Joe Rogan and how these different people do it, because I think it's interesting, and like the psychology behind it all.
It is.
And, I like it. And how they do it all differently. And I'm with you. You had who was it, Aljamain or one of these guys that didn't fight well, and he was complaining about it was in Abu Dhabi, and it was like on the opposite time, and he was all screwed up. And I'm with you that if you're going to be fighting in Colorado or something, it's like you should get out there and try to acclimate and get used to that. Or if it's going to be at 2 a.m, it's like you should acclimate that and be training at 2 a.m. or whatever.
And there was, I know money can be a hindrance as well, but I mean,
you do what you can do.
Well, I was about to think of like David Lee Roth. I was watching an episode of him on Joe Rogan, and him talking about like going before even concerts in like different countries. That he used to say he'd go like a month ahead of time just to really. He goes, you go to a concert, and it's like you don't get to see the city, you don't get to go around, and he's a real big people person, so it's like thinking of that as well as the training. I was like, well, if you can go live in Abu Dhabi for like a month and train out there the weeks leading up to it, getting acclimated to eating, but I could see that ruining maybe your diet if you're a little more sensitive in the stomach like I am. But now the time schedule, I would agree to that too. It's like if they're 6 hours ahead, it's like I would say for your next 12-week count, time stamped shifts. I mean, you're on third shift for the next 12 weeks wherever you live, I guess. I don't know. Or second or however.
Yeah.
That type of adjustment. I feel like foresight should have been seen there, but I don't know.
I don't know. Are you excited for the new CGI event, or do you care at all with the quartet? I'm curious about the strategy behind it. I don't know.
I haven't followed any of it. I don't know what's real and what's not.
Yeah, that's
between his Instagram posts. I didn't know what was actually true.
I was going to ask you about
that.
So
I'm just waiting for when it happens, and I'm just going to enjoy it.
Well, I don't know what's going on with the whole Craig Jones arrest thing. I think that was like some weird publicity stunt that they never said anything about.
I think that kind of was real. Where they probably did have security walk him out.
Something happened because they haven't even talked about it. I'm like, what's going on? But as far as
because that one post did say, like, all jokes aside, this was uncalled for. I think he really did probably just walk in there and just smash that. Because a lot of the reactions from the people in the office kind of looked genuine.
I don't care about him wrestling Gable Steveson at all. I thought the Gabby Garcia or whatever was like a lot more funny. Like now it's just like kind of gay and weird. I mean, which is funny its own way, but like it's not as interesting to me as the Gabby fight.
I think the Gabby one was a lot more interesting leading up to it, and then the grappling
And
match
even that
itself
dude,
was kind of like, eh.
Even that dude that interviewed him was so funny. I forget his name.
He was his corner as well, and like the whole time he was cornering was pretty funny.
But they've already said for CGI 3, they're going back to the individual tournament style, like the $1 million again.
Oh, so this CGI is just straight quintet.
Yep. And I don't even know who's on what team still because people are having their own like trials to make their teams and like competing to get on different teams. So that's like a lot of stuff that's going on right now.
Well, you know what? I'm more excited now about,
but I don't know,
about a quintet inside the pit. Like,
yeah, but I don't know.
I still just want to do a quintet myself. Like that sounds fun.
Dude, I think a pit sounds fun. I'm trying to go.
Both.
I'm trying to go visit a pit. the one I sent you guys the other day. That's over like 12 hours away in North Carolina. It's a small pit, like in somebody's garage or something, and they're like throwing each other out and jumping back in. It's like WWF with all the personalities.
We can build this. What are you talking about?
I know. I need a spot, man. I'll try to build a pit. It might
we'll
be
get Seth to get us.
It's definitely not going to be homeowner association approved, and there might be some nails and sharp edges and shit, but. You know, we'll jerry rig it.
We can find an old trampoline and just put some plywood off of it.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Frame it somewhere.
Make it easy, put up, put down, so they don't see it.
It's funny, though. They're constantly going out of bounds and, like, throwing them back in and get in there. It's funny.
Real Fight Club style. It.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the whole strategy with that quintet and, like, throwing different people in against different sizes and just the whole big versus small and the freak sideshow of it all.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Curious to see how it's all going to play out. Because it's supposed to be if you win, you stay in.
Yep.
So I don't know if they're going to do submission only, so it's going to be like an hour and a half for one match, or if they're going to do like some kind of weird time limit with points, like how the first tournament went.
It'll be a time limit. I mean, that's how quintet works.
I think when
each round has a time.
When Nicky Rod and that Owen guy went, neither one got a sub, so I think they both got eliminated.
Yep.
And so they like just planned to take out both the big guys and then make it pretty much 4v4 again.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the strategy behind it. So I'm assuming it's going to be the same, but with the pit, I don't know. Which they went off that elevated competition area a ton in that, so maybe a pit would make a difference. I don't know.
I don't know if there's points in quintet. Cause I know, I mean, that's kind of the thing. If you both
win by points instead of
if you both time out, or it's like, I mean, it's 0-0. It's like, well, you're both out. Next two are up. And then so on and so forth. And I mean, if you tap the other person, you stay in, the other person comes next, their number 2 comes in. But I don't know how points, I don't know if you get a mount or something, if that means you win that round, you get to stay in. I ain't got to see that much yet. That'd be pretty interesting to see too.
I got a bro science question for you.
Hit me.
If you were training for, a super fight or whatever, kind of like what Scott did.
All right.
Do you think that it would benefit you more to do like an hour-long hard training session, or just do like a 5-minute, like on the assault bike or something hard that is the same time limit as the match?
Both.
Think you should do long distance and like a long grueling thing, but also do the same simulation as the match length?
So you're talking about the difference between HIIT and lit.
Essentially, yeah.
High intensity versus low intensity.
Because I've heard Greg Jones talk about when he's training for something, he's like, I just need an hour. Like he does it way different. But then I've heard people talk about there's no point in training for 2-3 hours. You can train. You only fight for 5 minutes.
You can train high intensity within the hour, but you can't train an hour within the high intensity. Like if you,
because you kind of get like the short muscle links and the long muscle links, like marathon versus like sprint.
Put it to you this way: it's like basketball and football. I remember we had football players that actually played on the basketball team, and you could tell they were football players because when they came on the court and we had to do our sprints, they were the fastest dudes on the court for the first 2 drills. And then the rest of the practice, they were dragging. They're like, we ain't used to going like this long. They're only used to like 5 or 10 second bursts, and then they get the rest and walk back to the start line. Whereas basketball, it's like you're going till the ref blows the whistle or the time goes out.
We would get those D1 football players that would want to do the MMA stuff back at Indiana State, and they would fucking be monsters for like
Yep.
60 seconds. And then after that, they were just a muscly puddle on the bottom that you can just do what you wanted with.
And that's where I like where you said the different like verses, where I think it shouldn't be a versus, where you should do you do an hour or do you do 5 minutes of high intensity? I think you should do both.
Do both?
Yes.
So
if you had to choose between the two, I would do the long hour. So you have the endurance. Because what if you go full force the first 3 minutes and it's a 6 minute match?
Well, that's what's
and then all of a sudden you're just kind of like what happened in my pro event. Like it just, I gassed out, my arms went numb, and it's like, hell, I can't even defend myself.
Well, you took that on what, 2 days notice or something? Also,
1 day.
It's not like you got to go through a fight camp or anything.
I don't even think it was a full. It was a little over. I would think it was about 30 hours.
It's like we were
36
It's
hours.
like we were rolling with Ben to help Ben out leading up to it, but like it's not like you went through.
I was full. I was full enjoying myself at the moment. I was like, hey, fuck it, let's go. Let's do.
I like that mindset, but then it fucking drives me crazy.
Yeah,
I hate when it's like I'm happy for people that are like, oh, let's go have fun, but me myself personally, it's like I can't go in there with, oh, let's have fun, or like I just want to party after this. It's like,
don't get me wrong.
Win.
When the ref says go, it's like I'm trying to.
Well, there's some
you.
people that are like, oh, I'm just here to have fun.
Like no, not during.
And I can't.
No,
like
that's why I don't like the.
I'm happy for them that they have that, but I can't relate to it at all.
That's why I don't like the comp rounds either.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like
that's my mindset. It's like when the ref says go, it's like we're going.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
I'm trying my best to follow the rules at the moment of the whatever the match is, and it's like we're going.
My mindset's not even that. Mine is I get a couple warnings before I might get threatened with a DQ or something. It's like I don't care if we go off the mat or whatever. It's like no.
Now I will say I'm kind of. Well, you shared that one video about getting into opponent's mind.
I mean, you could argue that
getting into your opponent's mind with stuff. But
you could argue that it's dirty or whatever, but it was like I don't know. It's physical for one, no matter which one you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's, it's hard. And it's like once they start getting frustrated or getting mad and you see the people arguing with the refs, it's like, all right, they've already lost their composure. Like they're already mentally breaking. These are all like little signs. Like Gordon Ryan, when he beat that dude and he tapped and it wasn't even submission yet, he's like, oh, he was already beat. He just didn't get submitted yet.
Yeah.
He quit before he got to that opportunity. And everyone was like, oh, well, he was going through this and that. And his buddy died. And I was like, dude, that dude was whining out of the gate with the ref, like right from the get-go. Like he was already beat. It didn't matter. But yeah, some of that, I don't know. I think it's psychological warfare stuff. And it's like, just letting them know.
Which to me, it's like.
Which I'm relating it more to wrestling now, but.
I remember there's people like that in basketball, and I'd call them what they are, little bitches.
So, yeah, well,
you can't play by the rules.
I would see guys that would want to be.
You can't beat me, so you're just trying to get under my skin.
Well, you would still sometimes before the match, people come over and they're trying to be buddy with you, and it's like they're trying to cope with their stress and anxiety too. And it's like, nah, dude, we're about to get out here, and you're about to get it. And I'm not trying to be friends after the match either. I was never friends with people.
I will say I'm a little different. It's like I don't want to hang out with you before the match. But I'm not over here like fuck off either. It's like yeah, nice to meet you. Just like, hey, I got my routine. Do your routine. Some of my routine is just talking to friends like this. If we're talking before the match, that makes me not think about it. Yeah. The waiting part, that's the part I hate. Sucks. It's like I want it to start now.
Or like, I'm like Caleb's guy. He hurt that dude, and he got the neck brace. The dude was like following him around. Like a puppy the rest of the night. Like that's super weird. I'm not trying to be your buddy. I'm not trying to add you on Facebook. I'm not trying to be your homie. You can say a good match after the thing or whatever. Like that's it. I'm not trying to hang out with you. Even kids that from schools nearby. I don't know. I just didn't like people around my weight or like I had to compete against. See, I didn't want to put them in a friendship box. I want to put them in the enemy box.
I guess it never mattered to me because, like I said, when the ref said go, it's like. I'm moving forward, like we're going. Like it's friend or foe, like you're on the same level right now. It's because we're in the middle of a match.
Yes,
which I'm also not diabolical, or I'm not trying to cheat or actually like mess somebody over either. It's just like, hey, I'm trying to win right now.
They might be trying to fucking hurt you though.
Don't matter.
You don't care?
Nope. Try.
What's that in war where they're like objectify them or whatever, not try to make them a person, dehuman them?
Yeah, I've heard about that before. I don't agree with it myself. I'm more of like, humanize everybody. I mean, everybody's got their problems and their things that they're fighting with or dealing with every day. It's like,
Don't you be sending me no more Mike Tyson clips, then. I don't want to hear it.
I love it.
You friendly giant.
This should be fucking pumped.
That's what I'm saying. You got to have that before you're going
that's
out
the
there.
energy I'm carrying. It's just I'm not just going to overdo it. You know what I mean? It's like ref says stop. It's like, hey, the match is over. Like, why are you still going hard? It's not like we're actually outside here.
That's the ref's job. That's what he's in there to do.
Exactly. I mean, but at the same time, I don't know. There's always a level of self-control I feel like everybody's got to have.
Yeah. You get a couple warnings. That's what they're for.
I feel like the warnings is because I just didn't know what the rules were. Like, I can't do a Toho. My bad. I used to do that again.
I'm just relating to the wrestling video because some people said it was dirty or whatever. It's like I used to mostly get irritated by people backing up constantly, and you're supposed to get warnings. You're supposed to get points deducted, and you're supposed to get stalling calls, and you're supposed to get fleeing the mat if you're like wrestling on the edge. But a lot of people would wrestle on the edge, so if they got into a bad situation, they could just get out, and then they'd be out of bounds, and they would play that. And you see it in jiu-jitsu a ton, too, because there's no stalling calls.
Is chirping allowed on the wrestling mat?
You probably get in trouble.
Like, could you call him a little bitch? Like,
No.
What are you running for?
No.
Dang.
I've gotten in trouble for not having my singlet up all the way, like getting on the mat, and you lose team points and stuff, like changing while
you're the one walking it around your waist, and you're like, you start to do this on...
Well, usually it's like you're waiting to go, and there's all these different mats and stuff going on, and all of a sudden, sometimes they're calling your name, and you're like, oh, shit, I'm up now, and you're like, running to get out there or whatever. You don't have it. It's different refs' discretion, and some of them were just stupid.
I feel that.
Nitpicky about silly shit.
Well, there's probably more refs just more lenient about stuff than others.
Pretty much everything you can get in trouble for, I'm sure I've gotten in trouble for. I remember I got in trouble once for spitting. I had like a hair in my mouth, and I like spit it out. Like I didn't spit on the guy. I like tried to spit it out on like the edge of the mat, and the dude's like freaked out, spitting, like to that point. I was like, dude, I had hair in my mouth.
I do that sometimes.
Yeah, like it wasn't a big deal, but he made it a big deal.
I don't hawk loogies anywhere.
No,
I'll
I had like
try to get the hair.
But it was totally a thing from just practicing all the time and getting hair in your mouth and just nonchalantly like spitting this thing out. And yeah, he freaked out. This ref did.
I can see that.
Whatever.
Don't want your germs and cooties.
But I assume you're probably not gonna do the tournament in Alabama. They're going to Foley, Alabama in July.
I didn't hear about that, I guess.
Yeah, well, Juan and them are going to Florida to the beach, and then they're trying to hit this tournament in Alabama. And then that's what you heard that Scott's talk about going to the Absolute, and I guess there's a $2,000 prize pool. So Scott's thinking about flying. I think they're all talking about meeting up for like this vacation and then going to the tournament, which is a byproduct of their vacation.
In Alabama?
They're going to vacation in Florida, I think, to the beach, and I think they're going
for
to
ADCC and all that.
No. Naga is the thing in Alabama that they're going to in July. I think it's a Naga.
In Alabama.
Just ignore the Florida thing. They're going to Alabama. They're going to Alabama in July, coming up in like a month or whatever.
Yeah, we might. I don't know.
I didn't know if you heard about it or not. Juan and them said they wanted to go to the beach, and they were talking about that. And then Scott was talking about meeting up with them and doing the Absolute. So I don't know if they're all getting an Airbnb. I think it's like on the border, the tournament. So they're going to be staying in Florida, but everybody's going to the tournament, and they're trying to organize it now. I didn't know if you were thinking about it.
Jeez, how long?
And I could be screwing up the facts, but it's something like that.
What is that, an 8-hour drive? 7 hours?
I don't know. I don't know if they're going to Orange Beach or what they're doing or something in that vicinity, or if I'm completely making up the details here. But they're talking about Beach, Florida, tournament, Alabama, and they're wanting the team to get together.
I want to say it was like 13 hours to Lake Seminole. And that's all the way between Georgia, Alabama, and Florida.
Yeah, if I'm screwing that up, sorry, guys. That was the gist I got this past week.
I mean, sounds fun.
But they said Scott was talking about doing the 2K Absolute, and I was like, oh, I heard something about money and tournament, and that must have been what it was.
Yeah, I thought it did too. But
how come you don't have any interest in doing Absolutes ever? You don't want to smash some little guys?
I do.
You want to do some Absolutes?
I would love to.
You get a belt,
but it's not for the little guys. It's for the big guys.
You want to fight the big guys?
Yeah.
It would be pretty good until you got matched up against like a Chase or somebody that could just fucking deadlift your ass. like a strong big guy, you know what I mean?
If he's a white belt like Chase, I feel like it's fair. If he's like a fucking purple belt or brown belt, like Dan, at Chase's size, it'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and sit down.
Like Dan, what's his name? Dan the Giant Slayer or whatever, with Danaher, Big Dan or whatever. Yeah. Which I think that dude's a freaking puss anyway. Honestly, I don't see him ever beating any big guys up.
Yeah.
I don't know. When you get beat by a tacket, I know tackets are good, but when they're like a third your size, I'm like, all right, man. And you like sat down and pulled guard.
I will say the tackets are a bit.
I mean, they're studs,
they're different.
But still, man, when you're what 280 or something, getting beat by like a 140 pounder.
And I know that's probably why I haven't done absolutes either. It's like when you're the big person picking on a little person, it's like it's expected. It actually gives more to them when they beat you, and it's like what I really don't want to add. It's a lose for me if I go with a smaller person. It made me think
of the last St. Jude where they did the absolute, and Caleb McBride and Sam both got put against like Burley and the other guy that was Burley size. I'm like, damn, you guys couldn't have like remixed this up a little bit better. It's like you had the 130 pounders against the fucking 300-pound guys, and I'm watching Caleb McBride just getting cross-based on this like 300-pound dude, and his like gauges are popping out of his ear and shit because he didn't take them out yet.
The other was it Burley or the other dude?
There was two guys that looked like Burley, like very similar.
Who did Burley go against?
He went against one of them. I don't know which, but there was two guys that looked like that.
I know he's a purple belt.
And there was.
I want to say he got his purple belt last year.
I don't know, kind of buzzed head and like beard. It was like that same build too, like a big guy build.
Probably one of his comp buddies.
Maybe, but I was just like, damn, you guys couldn't have re-scrambled like first round of the absolute. Like, dang, dude. But I remember Caleb ran out there because they called his name and he still had his gauges in, and he getting smashed by this big dude, and his gauges were popping out.
Oh my god! Yeah. Welcome to the heavyweight division.
I was like, damn,
them crossfaces hurt.
People
That's
were like,
why I don't let them happen.
Getting them off the mat for him. I was like, dang.
I remember there was one cop buddy he brought to an open mat we went to at Jackson. I forget his name, but I mean, he was a white belt, like one stripe maybe. I think I was like 2 or 3 stripes blue belt, and I was on top of him. That dude bench pressed me, flung me like 5 feet off of him across the mat. And I was like, dear God. Like, I ain't smart. I mean, I might have been like 15 pounds lighter.
That's why I think everybody should do jiu-jitsu, at least try it. Because I think everyone has this, not everybody, but you see people on the internet get interviewed or whatever, and like, show me your fighting moves or this and that. And I think they can, there's a lot of people that have an unrealistic thought of themselves of being able to win a street fight. And you come into jiu-jitsu and you learn real quick, you're like, oh shit. Even like going against somebody smaller than you, and they can still
you gonna think about it when I bite you or when I grab your
I just
ear.
See, what's that weightlifter guy that interviews all the UFC guys and says like, do you think you can beat me, Bradley Martin?
He's
like, I'm 240 or whatever.
I really, for a second.
He's like, just wait till I see red.
For a second, I really thought Nate Diaz was just going to entertain him. And I'm like, dear God, please do it.
But he's come out and done like some judo.
Brother, you're a podcaster. You really think so? It's like, dude.
He's been ragdolled with the gi a couple times since.
You know what's funny? That happened before all of these questioning things.
Oh, did it?
Mm-hmm.
The timeline did? I didn't know that.
Because I used to watch them too, because back in the day, bro science type stuff, watching, like, he was one of those that was popular then. Like, he's actually very athletic. Like, don't get me wrong. That dude's strong, powerful, quick. If he was a black belt in jiu-jitsu, I think he'd demolish Gordon Ryan.
Yeah, that'd be scary.
He'd absolutely eat his lunch. But at the same time,
that's a whole nother thing. You get those high-level guys like Gordon Ryan, and then juice them to the gills with steroids. Is like, that's a whole nother thing now.
But Bradley Martin is also juiced to the gills.
Yeah, but he doesn't have any skills. So, I mean,
that's why I said, like, if he was a black belt, he'd eat Gordon's lunch.
I don't know. Did you see Gordon Ryan go against the mountain guy, whatever that dude's name is? He made Gordon Ryan look small.
Which he's also a white belt. If Thor was a black belt,
isn't that dude like 380 or something? Like, he's massive.
I think he's more than that.
He's a big guy. And he
Brian Shaw.
Was it that guy?
He went with Brian Shaw too. He went with both of them.
He went with the giant guy that made him look small, and I was like, damn,
from Game of Thrones giant?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, his name's Thor. Hawthorne something.
Yeah, that's who it was.
He was the world's strongest. Brian Shaw's the American war.
I knew who Brian Shaw was.
They both rolled with them.
Game of Thrones I never watched, so I knew he was from there, but I didn't know his name. I know.
He was the Mount. It's a good show.
Did you watch
last season was
Did you watch our book club movie?
I forgot what it was.
I know. I was trying to think about it last night.
You like, forgot it too.
I was like, damn, because the daughter has the flu right now, and so she's been in her bed like watching TV and like, dang, this is my chance to watch adult stuff. And so that's why I was like, damn. I was like, what was the book club movie? And I completely forgot what we talked about, because we talked about a few things, and I was like, I don't remember what we settled on.
I will say we watched Mickey 17 last night. Did you ever see that?
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
Mickey 17?
Mickey 17 with a dude from Twilight.
No
What was
idea.
his name? Robert Patterson?
I know who the guy is, but I've never even heard of this title. Is it new or old?
I think it came out last year. We were going to see it in theaters, but we never got around to it.
Yeah, dude, we're in a bubble since we had kids. We don't even get exposed.
Watch the trailer. The trailer made it look so interesting.
Was that all the best?
The movie was such a disappointment.
Oh no!
It kept you just sitting on the edge the whole time. Like, all right, is it going to get better? And it's all right the whole time. Like it didn't flow very well. I think it flowed just enough to keep your attention. Other than that, it was like this is not what I was expecting. It felt like Suicide Squad all over again.
I did not like Suicide Squad.
That's what I mean. Like the trailer, they made it look so fucking.
I mean, I could actually relate
good.
to that movie. I was like, I didn't like it.
But when you watch Suicide Squad, it was like it's like going to eat a Twinkie, but there was no cream on the center.
Who was
it was like
what singer played what's the blonde-headed chick's name from Suicide Squad? The little psycho.
Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn.
Yeah. So, but didn't Harley Quinn have her own movie and like a singer played her?
Birds of Prey.
Yeah, who?
That was actually a really good movie.
But who was that? Who played her?
What do you mean?
Who played
Harley Quinn in Birds of Prey? It was Margot Robbie.
I thought Madonna or somebody was dressed up recently for a role. I thought it was like some spin-off shit.
They might be doing that
Not
too.
Madonna, but who's black-eyed? Maybe it's I don't know. I saw somebody and I was like, oh, she actually looked believable. Whoever they dressed her up as. I must be mixing stories now.
You probably are. I did see a post about some chick getting ready for a Lara Croft TV series, I think on Amazon or something.
It definitely wasn't Madonna. I'm trying to think of whoever these pop women are. You would know.
Are they a singer?
Yeah, they're a singer.
Name a song.
It's not Fergie. It's something like that though. I'm gonna sit here and think about it. Don't worry about it.
My gosh.
But
this is what I work with here.
Yeah, I'm terrible at names with actresses and all that.
I'm on that level too, though.
Sometimes
I'll remember.
And it's her first movie, so I don't have any other movies to like help bring up her name because it's a singer lady that's doing the actress. That's why I was like, oh, she might. It looked weird when I saw her dressed up as it, but I was like, maybe she'll do good.
Is it like a comic book movie?
Yeah, I thought it was Birds of Prey or like some kind of spin-off that she was in. But
Birds of Prey. I mean that movie already happened. I think that happened before COVID.
Yeah, but I don't know what it was. Never
like
mind.
I said, that was a good movie. Yeah, don't judge it by Suicide Squad. Birds of Prey was actually pretty good.
Yeah, they're doing all these weird subcategories of the action book crap, so I don't know.
Yeah.
And they have different actors in this one and mixing and matching, and I don't know. So they're getting ready to redo the Harry Potter, and it's all changing. I'm going to say one thing.
Say it.
I hate when they change the races and the ethnicities from the different one. It drives me crazy. And it's like, I'm open to, if you want to put that in the original one, it's fine. I don't care. But we go from like mermaid being white and then the mermaid being black. And I was like, this is just too much of a change that people know the original story.
I feel there's so many black characters in comic books that could be brought up. Why not use them?
Yeah, I don't get it.
I will say, I did kind of have a touch of that with, I don't know if you remember Green Lantern. With Robert or with Ryan Reynolds. You remember that movie?
No.
You don't remember that? It was a flop.
Well,
I think a lot of us, like the kids for sure, like we didn't like the thought of it because it was like we all thought Green Lantern was black. And it was like, what the hell is he doing up there? Well, and then I learned later there's actually two Green Lanterns. There is a white and a black one. Like sometimes from the comic books, I think the original one was black. I forget his name. I think Hal Jordan was the white one that Ryan played, but the black one's the one in the Justice League cartoons that the kids grew up with.
What was the action or the comic book movie with Seth Rogen?
The Green Hornet?
Was it the Green Hornet? It was Green something. It must have been the Green Hornet then.
Yeah.
And he had like
it was a remake of the TV series Bruce Lee was in.
Yeah, he had a little Asian sidekick.
Yeah.
Okay. When you were talking about the other movie, I was thinking of Seth Rogen.
You better not make that into a clip.
That's got to be a clip now. I kind of laugh like that.
I love those memes too, where they put his voice in that different things like engines and stuff. That was actually a good movie too. I remember watching it.
That one wasn't bad. They you ever done any crappie tournaments?
Nope.
I went by Real
Fuck
Foot
them.
last week.
I'm
and
sorry.
It was
that was a bit rude of me.
It was
But
super.
crappie fishermen are a bit rude on the water.
It was super busy, and I was like, they must be getting ready to do a tournament or something at Real Foot. And I saw decaled cars and sponsors that look like. I was like, it must be a tournament. I don't know if Real Foot does tournaments.
They have bass tournaments and crappie tournaments on Real Foot.
I thought it was mostly crappie there. I didn't even know they had bass.
A lot of crappie fishermen love Real Foot because of the. I don't think there's a size limit. There might be now. I remember there used to not be. There was just you can catch 30, but it was any size. So
I thought they had a high overall limit.
Yeah, I think it's 30 per person. I think it changed to 20 per person now. I don't know. I think Real Foot was 20 per. I don't know, but I do know there's a bass tournament there. But a lot of bass fishermen don't like Real Foot because of how. I mean, you can't open up on the lake except for the highways, and it's a bunch of trees and stumps, and it's kind of frowned upon to put your fiberglass boat out there where you could probably poke a hole real easy. In a lot of them, but I mean, they still do have bass tournament. They have bass in that water, some pretty decent sized ones from what I've heard. I mean, I've bass fished in there, didn't catch one, but
you caught a drum. Said everything that I thought. You caught a drum in there?
Caught a fucking 5-pound drum on a beetle spin in a kayak. That thing drugged me to it. Lost my iPhone 4 to it too.
I was thinking about kayaking a couple of days ago. I was like, we need to do another kayak down.
We do.
Forkadeer.
We do need. And you know what? And that was Real Foot when I kayaked in it too.
Well, I was
out of Kirby pocket.
Did we go the same holiday when we went with Adam? Because we got burnt. I remember it was like the beginning of the season.
You have to check Instagram. I made the post right after. I didn't know if it was Memorial Day. I didn't realize it.
It might have been Memorial Day like a couple years ago. I was thinking about that.
That was a fun time.
I just remember we were all pasty white and all got burnt.
Well, I don't think he.
Adam might have been the only one to put sunscreen on.
Yeah, he was the one to put sunscreen on. He was like, "Y'all are going to regret that."
First,
and I'm like, "It's shade all the way there."
It's the first burn of the summer, so I feel like it might have been. Yeah. Have you ever? Were you ever into archery or bow and arrow stuff?
Yep. Only deer I ever took was with the bow.
Really? Did you ever listen to Joe Rogan when he's had? I'm sure you have. Yep. Cameron Haynes.
He's the only one that I listen to. Podcast wise, and I love Cameron Haynes.
Did you ever listen to when he had Adam Greentree on there?
I might have. I recognize the name. Ain't he the Australian person?
He's the Australian dude, and he talked a whole bunch about Australia's history and their conservation. It's super interesting.
Let me just say this: I don't get the whole archery's better than all the other like rifle shooting stuff. Where it's like, oh, you know how Joe Rogan say, well, it's so more intricate, and you got to do all these things. It's like, brother, this redneck, like hell, just I pull it back and I'll hit it. Like I've Robin Hood too. Like I've actually hit 2 arrows at the same time.
I think Australia. I'd like to go to Australia one day in general. I just think it has such a weird history. Being like it was a prison, and then they just brought in all these animals to make. It was supposed to be hunting for rich people.
That reminds me. You ever see The Condemned?
I don't think so.
It's like a WWE movie.
No,
that reminded me of it.
Absolutely.
Shout out if you get the
sounded like
reference.
A scary movie.
It's kind of like a contest that happens like that, where they send prisoners to this island and they just fight to the death.
Like a Hunger Games with guys on steroids.
Stone Cold Steve Austin was the main.
Yeah,
it was a pretty action-packed, interesting, low-budget movie. But I didn't mean to knock you off, of course, on that. But
that was all. No, I was just.
I know curious. Australia was where Britain threw all their bad people.
Yeah,
it was like, all right, you're exiled to this island.
They exiled the inmates there, and then I don't know if they had it cut in half or what, but then they brought in all like the world's crazy critters for hunting for rich people, and then
I remember that happened too.
Run over with stuff. That's why all the bad stuff's there.
Oh yeah, because it's like
they hunt cats. I know we talked about that last time.
I forget what the percentage is, but all of the population too are at the coastlines of Australia. They don't nothing live in the center except for like the Aboriginals.
Well, that's why if you talk about or listen to the Adam Greentree guy, it's like he goes so many miles inland and then goes on foot. And it's like if he doesn't kill something, like he's kind of screwed.
I swear I'm not a hipster. I swear. But it does kind of turn me off when I hear people like the Australia where people really start talking about it. I'm just like, It's kind of like the archery people. It's like, oh, it's so much better. I'm like, it's great, but it's not. It ain't all that, guys. Like y'all need to calm down.
I also was gonna say that I was looking at some Larry Bird highlight stuff the other day, and like half the ones I was watching, it said John Poor had already liked that. Yep. I wonder if that was
It's not a coincidence.
It was a coincidence, or if it was already. I was trying to figure out the timeline of everything. If you watched that a long time ago, if you watched it recently.
Well, I mean, I grew up basketball. I don't know if I told you that or not, but when I was in high school, that was my nickname was Bird.
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 You like what's the dude that had all the tattoos?
Dennis Rodman.
No, the white guy.
White guy.
They had a white guy. They had like a white version of Dennis Rodman. The dude that was covered. He had like a mohawk, and he was in the NBA for a while.
Was it the 2000s? I didn't really watch it.
I'll think about it
after those times.
Yeah, you must have missed him.
All the tattoos, white guy. I feel like that'd stand out too.
Yeah, the white guy. They had some crazy nickname for him. He had a mohawk and all these tattoos, and he reminds me of Dennis.
I feel like I would remember the mohawk though.
I'll think about it after the podcast, and I'll be like, oh damn, I forgot. But
no, that's no accident. I liked Larry Bird. I didn't know who he was when the coach gave me the nickname either. That was before really. Well, I mean, the internet was around, but we had dial-up, so it was like.
Do you watch the March Madness stuff or not really?
Used to. I did watch it because that was the only way I could watch the Kentucky Wildcats play. That's my favorite college basketball team, but I haven't in recent years because every time it seemed like I did watch, they do bad.
Yeah,
and it's like fuck. Every time I watch it, they lose, and it's like when I didn't watch, they were winning the national championships. I was like, well, I want them to win, but it was like a love-hate kind of torn. And it's like, you know what? I don't have time to sit here and watch it anyway.
My thing is with college sports, it's like I get invested or I like people, and then they freaking get drafted.
Yeah.
It pisses me off.
That's what got me out of it.
It's like by the time you learn the lineup or the people, it's like everyone swaps schools or tries to get drafted, and it doesn't.
That's why I wasn't a Braves fan anymore. When they traded Andrew Jones off, I think he went to Baltimore or somewhere, and I was like, and then Chip, I know Chipper's a big. A lot of people love Chipper, but I mean, I was a big Andrew Jones fan then. Then Mark McGwire was around, so that's when I became a Cardinals fan, which loosely I don't really keep up like I should with any of them.
And then, I just was because we were talking about Larry Bird the other day, and I had that design stuff, and then I was like randomly seeing, I was like, oh, John LeBird or John Poor liked this Larry Bird highlight thing, and this one I was like, I wonder when you like
there's
this.
no telling how long ago that was.
I just was laughing that it was popping up, but probably because we were talking about it too, it was popping up.
It was probably last year. I was trying to get back into watching professional sports, and I was watching basketball because John Morant, watching his highlights.
I do like him.
Fuck. Damn, that dude can jump.
The dude gets in trouble for all his celebrations. Like, you got to quit shooting guns at everybody and throwing grenades.
And that's another thing that I guess it gets under my skin too quickly, and I stopped watching
the
stuff.
Sellies?
Well, it's the Jaw's in trouble again. He can't play, and it's like, what the hell? Like, and then it gets under my skin. It's like, well, your team shouldn't rely on one person to make the difference, but at the same time, it's it is John Morant. He is very talented.
Does NBA have salary caps? I don't even know.
I don't know. I never nerded out that much into it. I think they do. Maybe. I don't know. Is that coming from a football? I meant to ask you that, how big of a football fan you are. Like, do you honestly watch it? I mean, I've gotten into the night games.
I have,
but I don't watch any of the.
I watch it like
on
all the holidays, like Thanksgiving and stuff. I always watch it during the regular season. It's hard for me to keep up with it. And then for the longest time,
who's your team?
Well, I grew up with the Patriots because my dad's from Maine, and so we grew up watching like Drew Bledsoe and the times when they were bad before Tom Brady. So then when they finally started getting good, we're like, oh, this is nice now that they're winning.
Feels validated.
And then, but being from like Indianapolis, it's like we always grew up watching the Colts and the Patriots, but then they'd play each other, and it was always kind of like conflicted. But my mom's from Illinois, so we grew up watching the Bears a lot. Which the wife's in-laws are from, or my in-laws are from Illinois too. So the Bears was cohesive with everybody. And then I got family in Colorado, so a lot of Broncos stuff.
Yeah, I've only seen Patriot clothing on you, so I didn't.
Well, they're the only ones that were winning for a while, I guess. No, but I'd say mostly the Patriots, but Colts, a lot of Bears. But the Bears, man, it's like everyone wants them to be good, and they just can't be good for some reason. And then the Broncos, which it worked out good because Peyton Manning went there from the Colts. So it's like, oh, well, we're already fans with him, and we're already fans of Broncos, so it fit well. But we liked Eli.
That's how I feel with the Titans.
I don't know. It's weird because I don't feel like I have a loyalty to a team. It's like sometimes you like some of the players individually more than the team. So when Tom Brady left the Patriots, it's like nobody was mad because he did so much. So then I think like a lot of Buccaneer fans weren't really bandwagoners; they were just fans of Tom Brady.
I will
He left
say,
on good terms. I felt like.
I will say I have a lot more fun watching the night games when the Titans aren't playing. It seems like when I watch a Titans game, just like a Wildcats game, it's like they're not doing good. I get pissy, and it's like, why am I getting mad about a sports game? It's like this really shouldn't be affecting my emotions.
See, I never had any,
but I do care.
I never had like an investment with the Titans, but I would like to go to their stadium and see a game.
Yeah, I've been to the stadium, not for a game, but I've been there, and it's outside, steep, and all that. The prices are fucking ridiculous.
You know what? I was talking. My dad came to visit this weekend, and then the daughter got sick, so it kind of like ruined everything. But we were talking about sports stuff, and when I moved to St. Louis, the Rams had just they left that same year, and I was looking at tickets to go to a St. Louis Rams game, and they were ridiculous for being a trash team. Also, and I was like, because the Colts is like you can get $20 tickets for the nosebleed section. Like people are just giving away tickets to the Colts. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah. We came to St. Louis, and I guess it's a small stadium or whatever, but it was still like $80 for the worst seats in the house or whatever, and they were less than a 500 winning team. I was like, I'm not paying that.
And I think that's with the Titans as well, because I think there's more people here that are fans of other teams that go to those games, so because they don't get to see them. Oh, that's my theory about it. Maybe. Why some of those probably cost so much. It's like, well, they have a lot of fans of the other teams.
If it's a popular other team, then maybe those ticket sales go up a little bit.
I've only noticed that because of the Cardinals. Because, I liked Mark McGwire a lot. But at the same time, it's like, well, I don't want to see him play some shit team either.
See, that's the thing, too. So when you're in St. Louis, I wanted to go to football. They left. And so, obviously, you have the Cardinals there. I went to a couple of games. I hated it. I was like, it is hot as hell. It's packed like sardines. Everyone's like elbows are touching. They're sweating on you. I hated the baseball. And we, people would, spend all kinds of crazy money for when the Cubs came and different popular teams like what you were talking about.
No, I would say the Cubs is a rivalry team.
Yeah, so like people were in town from Chicago, which I was surprised to see so many Cubs fans in St. Louis. But then we went to see the Blues, and they were a good team. They were doing well. I don't think they won Stanley when I went to go watch them that year. But
did you keep up with them this year?
Not this year, I didn't. But
I think they went to the finals this year.
But
I think they lost.
I enjoyed going to the hockey game way more than the baseball game because it's like flannel weather in there. It's like a little bit cooler. There's way more.
I've heard a lot of people love those.
Yeah, it was a lot more fun, and everyone's fighting and hitting each other. And I was like, "This is fun." I hated the baseball game. I hated it.
But the buddies at work
and I feel like I'm unbiased because I didn't play any of those sports.
The buddies that I did the D&D with from work, we did have a plan. It took a couple of us where we were going to go to a Predators game and get kicked out for fighting. That was like the goal.
I would go to a Predators game. They're pretty good.
Like, I'm down.
I think
I've never been to a hockey game.
It was comfortable,
and I would love the colder weather inside the building.
That's what I was down for. I was like, oh, this is nice.
And there's been a couple of people from my work that became Predators fans after going to a game.
Yeah, it is
because it was just how much fun it is. And I remember that one guy talked about it. It's like, dude, it's fucking great in there. The way he was talking.
I was much more comfortable. Yeah, it was literally like flannel weather. At the Cardinals game, it was miserably hot and sweaty, and I was like, this sucks. And it's like the middle of the day, and I was like, I did not enjoy any of it. And it's like 3 hours. So I was like,
the very first professional game I ever went to was Cardinals versus the Braves with me and Callie. It was a date.
I can't remember if they went to extra innings that game or not, but that is just unnecessary. That is too much.
God bless this woman.
That is too much.
Some old woman sat next to us, and she was a veteran. She was from St. Louis. She's like, oh, honey, y'all ain't got so-and-so this and that. She's pulling out the bag of ice and the little core rags and stuff for us. We were like beating right in the sun, too.
Oh, man.
She's like, oh, here's this, here's that. Like, I got y'all. She left at like the 7th inning. She was like, I'm getting out of here. She goes, I'm here every week.
I did not enjoy it. That's for the birds, man.
Man, we got the big helmet with the barbecue, like all this and that. Like we took like 5 bites, and it was like it's fucking. I'm sweating. Like this is.
I felt like the chairs were small as hell, and I'm just like rubbing. Like if you have to get up and pee or whatever, this is just pain in the ass trying to get past everybody. I was like, it is just way too crammed.
We got there an hour before the game started just to walk around the stadium. Apparently, everybody else had the same idea. So it felt like freshman year of high school again, just shoulder to shoulder, just walking through the hallways, just like you're just in the flow. Like there's no turning around, going back the other direction or anything. It's like you're just in the conga line. You just got to keep moving.
Nope.
Now, while the game was going on, it was a lot more clear, and you could move around a lot better in those hallways. But I mean,
I'd be down for a Predators game. That sounds fun. We've talked
Hell
about it.
yeah.
I can
I'm
tell
down
you what
for
though,
that.
Nashville, like since before COVID a little bit, it is like quadrupled in size. It is so dang busy now. My brother-in-law's lived there for at least 10 years, and where he used to live on the suburbs or whatever, everything's just slowly made its way out to him and now past him. I was like, it is just getting bigger and bigger. Nashville's too much.
All these California people
It
moving
really
over.
is. And we went there to a bachelor party a couple years ago. I remember talking to all these different people at the bars, like just casually, whatever, conversing. And some of them had all these attitudes. They're like, "Oh yeah, I live here." I'm like, "Oh yeah." And it's like the more I talk to them, it's like they were dating when they moved to Nashville, and it's like you guys have all only been here for a couple of years. Like you haven't been here that long. But they were like, being snubbing the people next to us that we're talking to that had been there only 2 years, and they were here for 3 years. And it's like you guys are ridiculous. And I was like, yeah, we live in Tennessee, but over on the west side, like we're not in Nashville. Like, oh, how long have you lived for here or whatever? And I'm like 6 years, and then like their attitudes change. Like all of a sudden they weren't better than me just for when I moved there. I was like, you guys are weird, man.
The older I've gotten, the more I've started to think about history class where they mentioned the Irish moving over to New York and like taking all the jobs.
Them talking about how much money,
and it's like immigrants and stuff, and like the situation now with a lot of the Hispanics that moved up, and it's like I kind of see why some of them probably were a little racist. Just that was like their natural reaction to it, just the kind of hate, and it was easy just to fall into that line of, oh yeah, fuck all of them.
Well, my dad, he does home inspections, and so they're just talking about this different house stuff, and they were telling us all the prices of their houses in LA and what they sold it for, and then what they bought when they moved to Tennessee and how much more they got for their money, and just like, I don't know how you guys survived out there. And just, I think, everyone's buying up everything in Tennessee now. You have all these weird conglomerates, just anything they can get, the land, the homes. I don't know if you guys have ever been offered stuff for your houses where you guys are over there, but they're just buying up everything in Tennessee. People over in California, real estate stuff. Just investing in Tennessee.
Oh yeah. I mean, growth is going to happen.
It's weird.
That's just part of it. And like I said, Nashville's the hot hub right now.
It is crazy. And anytime you go there now, you just see the tower cranes, and you just see all the infrastructure. Everything's just going vertical. It's like it's going to be, in another 10, 20 years, it's going to be even weirder. Like I don't think it's slowing down. Texas is becoming a little bit of a hot spot. So maybe some people are going that way.
Listen to a lot of Joe Rogan. He keeps recruiting people to come to Austin.
So maybe Austin.
I bet a lot of people in Austin are like, Joe, if you could just not keep inviting people here.
Just since COVID, though, Nashville is so much bigger, and that's only been a few years. So I can't imagine 10, 20.
Right. I remember Nashville in the late 90s, going up there for vacation and whatnot.
You never been there as like an adult?
Yeah.
Like to the bars or anything?
Around 20. Well, not the bars, no.
Everyone limping, getting up off the mats.
I'm getting old, man.
Yeah, everything's creaking and popping.
Make sure this thing's still filming. I don't want to repeat the last. Oh my god! I don't know why, but my left knee has just been hurting all right here up to my hip.
Well, my only last point really I got here is just that I said Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 to 8's been the official open mats that I haven't been advertising, but I'm advertising now.
Why would you advertise?
Just put it out there.
I wouldn't even call it an open mat. It's rolling after class.
Unofficial open mat. That's what I'm calling it. That's what I named it.
It's not your time.
Not that Callie has to be here.
It's not your time.
Class. She's got her.
She's the coach. That's her time.
From 6 to 7, and then after that, she'll be like, "I'm out of here. Peace." She doesn't need to stick around.
No, that's her time frame.
Whatever.
She's just being nice and letting y'all have open time to run.
I'd be like, "You guys got keys. I'm out of here."
Sticking
around to clean the mats and mop them, everything's too nice.
It would be nice to have an actual dedicated once a week. This is open mat. I feel like there's a lot of other gyms that have that.
Enjoying the Tuesdays and Thursdays just because the people that come to do the gi are more passionate, I think, than the people that show up to no gi. A lot of them. I think that just goes with the culture. I think if you're practicing both, then you kind of into it more.
Yeah, especially the rolling part. Yeah,
that's what I mean.
I can see that.
And it's like you can just take off the gi if you want to do no gi stuff. Doesn't matter, but
that's how I've always thought about it too.
There's a lot of guys. I wouldn't say a lot of guys. There's some guys that come to the kickboxing or MMA, and it's like they don't really even like the jiu-jitsu part, but it's like if they're already here, they might as well do it. But then on the gi days, it's pretty much people that are just into jiu-jitsu, or else why would you be in the gi?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so it's more concentrated, I think. I enjoy both. I was telling somebody that the other day. It's like I enjoy the gi and the no gi. You get burnt out on one. It's like they both have their places, like going back and forth. And then whoever I was talking to were talking about getting older. And I was like, it's nice to be able to slow things down in the gi with all the grips. And we were talking about.
I know I love both of them too myself. It's just a different strategy for each one.
Yeah, we were talking about how what was it, Flower or whoever came from the seminar? Fowlers. I always want to say Flowers. Flowers from the sweep, the Flower sweep. Fowler and Fowler was here. You know, there's like one sweep in the whole match at like Worlds, and that's the whole excitement. And I was like, there's just not a whole lot of stuff that happens in the gi. It's very grip fighting and chess and more methodical, I guess, instead of the scrambles and flips and spins and the no gi and the slips and the sweat and everything.
I think once you get to that high level I know we discussed once about like the flashy moves. I think when you get to that high of a level between them, like y'all kind of like start to acting the same way. Kind of like if you look at the UFC, when it first started, you had all these different techniques and disciplines that showed up, and like jiu-jitsu really dominated, but then in the stand-up world, this martial art really dominated. Whereas nowadays, it's like if you're not doing Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu, and boxing and kickboxing, it's like you're just going to fall down. You're not going to make it to the top. So they're all kind of, the techniques are similar to one another, and that's why I think where the flashy movement comes in. It's like they're also focused on those movements, like you said, where it's like a sweep doesn't happen because they're both, one's trying to do a sweep, and the other one's like, well, I know they're trying to do that sweep, so I'm defending it. And they're kind of in a stalemate.
So I have no evidence to support this claim, but to double that back to people that want to do the tournament and the comp classes or whatever, there should almost be a lot more emphasis on the points, because I would say as you're advancing up through the belts and competing in your career, I bet that your rate of submissions decreases as you're going up. I feel like white belts, there's probably a lot of submissions overall. Mm-hmm. And then as you get to black belt, I'm sure there's still some submissions that people are probably really good at, like certain niches, but I bet there's a lot less submissions overall and a lot more matches win by points and go the distance.
That's why I like my Hawaiian headlock so much. It's just
fucking fake move.
But it's such a surprise move. So even from the bottom, it's like once you grab it, it's like most people they're caught off guard. Like, what's this? And sometimes that's all you need in a match to grab a hand and an arm and get it put in there and get the submission.
Yeah, I guess if you attack that arm, that's definitely there. But like,
oh yeah.
In wrestling, you're not supposed to reach back. That's essentially what it is from the bottom guy.
So you relate too much to wrestling.
I know, but it's just my experience.
We're in jiu-jitsu
That's
now.
my experience. I'm saying when you reach back to grab the head. I don't like Travis tries it now because I think rolling with you some. I'm like,
I don't even do it to him that much either.
But I think
I showed it to him once.
He's been exposed to it. But when you guys reach back for the head, I'm like, I don't even care. I'm just gonna cross face you until one of us is gonna let go.
Maybe I'm baiting you by letting you cross-face me. You don't even know what I
feel fine by it. I'm like, this is stupid. To me, I don't think it's a real move. I think there is attacks out of it, but overall, I'm like, this is silly.
Is. It's just they're mean.
Sticking the arm down there, I've seen that before. Like I guess it's Americana.
Yep.
It's going that way.
That, or you can transition to the triangle if they turn their arm down as well, so you can push their face to there.
Maybe your Hawaiian headlocks aren't much of a threat. Maybe Scott's are different.
That, and when you cross-face, I guess I'll let you in on it. Like I said, I've always kept it in my back pocket. When you cross-face, I mean, I do threaten the wrist lock to kind of let y'all know, like, I can reach with this other hand and grab your wrist. And kind of like, and I bet you understand this, like, when I pull across, I can go 2-on-1, and I can just go to the turtle position and then work my way out from there if I wanted to.
I've been doing a lot more Ezekiels since we've been talking about all the Ezekiels. And it makes me laugh every time because I'm like, oh, John would be so pissed right now. But you know what? Every time I have somebody in mount or like technical mount or something, they all go to pushing on that leg. And so now I'm just like, you fucks need to worry about your necks, and nobody, they don't respect it. So like I've been doing it for real, but then I'm like, oh, this hurts my rotator cuff. I'm learning. I'm like, it hurts me. I was like, it's not even worth it. Like I'm just like being mean to their throat, but I'm like, oh, this really hurts my shoulder more, I think.
I forget who I did it to. I did it once for real, but I was like, Because I always threaten it just to let them know.
I'm doing it, but
I
I'm
don't
telling
do
them.
it. Yeah.
Because I don't want to do it to them. I'm
I'll
like,
tell
bring
them.
your hands up.
I'll tell them, I was like, please don't call my bluff. Like, this isn't, I don't want to do this. And I forget who was like, you know what, I'm not defending it. And
I
it's
was
like,
doing it to Greg, and I felt bad. And I was telling Greg, I was like, this is a real thing that we just don't do a lot in our gym. But I was like, if you don't bring your hands up, like, I'm going to smash your neck. I don't want to.
Like I said,
but this is real.
There was a couple people that they relied on it way too much when we were first all white belts.
I can see that.
And it was like everybody got a bad taste of it because that's all they would do. And it's like none of us really knew how to defend it. Like I kind of knew, but it was kind of a made up. Just I grabbed their elbow and started pushing this way or that way. And it's like, well, they can't submit me if their arm can't really sink in or not. And it's like I'm not going anywhere. But
I used to get I hate the damn cross collars, and I know every time we practice them, people are just locked in on that for like a week after the damn cross collar chokes from like closed guard.
I know I hate
full guard. I hate them.
Trying to figure out how to get that second one in there.
It just feels mean, and I'm just like hitting in the mouth the whole time. I'm like, all right, when you let go of me, I'm about to smash you now. Now you're pissing me off.
I'll get some loop chokes from it, but it does give a lot of control or I'll transition to a few different other things. Now you can do that inverted bow and arrow choke as well.
I do like bow and arrows. I think those are cool.
If you can maneuver yourself around from there.
Who's your favorite for watching gi stuff?
John Jock Machado.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Well, gi and no gi really, but he's definitely my favorite to watch on YouTube.
I've been watching a lot of that Adam guy that just won Worlds. That white dude.
You've shown him before.
With his knee lever shit, even though I can't do it well. But I still watch it all the time. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
I did see one video that showed that like that knee lever John Wayne sweep that Scott does to us. And like it is demoralizing the way he does it. It's like there is honestly no blocking it.
What about no gi stuff?
I don't really watch a whole lot of I mean, I love Jordan teaches jiu-jitsu. He does a lot of no gi and gi, but it kind of translates between the two. Other than that, I mean, let's be honest. I haven't really studied anything through my white and blue belt. Like I said, now that I'm a purple belt, that's why I say I got to stop lollygagging around and actually start studying and watching all the instructionals I've bought that Callie's.
I really don't. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it before. I'm not big. I don't like to watch instructionals. I like to watch highlights and things. I watch a lot of B team stuff in general.
I feel like this circles back to the low intensity training versus high intensity. It's not a one or the other, it's both. If you had to pick one or the other, you have your reasonings and rationales.
You talk about instructionals or non-instructionals?
Mm-hmm. Instructionals versus competition. Because like you can watch competition, but you might not see all the little details of what they're trying to do and what they adjust to do. Whereas the instructional ecological, kind of like shows you, well, here's baseline. They kind of went off baseline, but you still got to have that foundation to work it. Because you might just be rolling night after night.
I guess maybe I do watch instructionals because I'll see people do something and like, this is how I won ADCC, and then sometimes they'll be like, this is what I did, and they kind of talk about the details after the fact. So I guess it goes hand in hand. They show what they did in the match.
Yeah. Just comes down to basics.
Informal instructional, but I never sat there and watched, an instructional with what's the logos on the mats. I don't even know where they film it at. It's like a weird little
BJJ Fanatics.
Yeah, they have like their weird little room that they do it in. Yeah, it's
a nice setup. I like it.
It's a weird background to me.
I think it's like in an apartment somewhere. if I remember right. We'll have to ask Scott. I know he's going to go. Well, he might not be going there to film. He might be filming in his own spot.
So can he just do his own and just edit it and then like submit it? I don't even know how that format is.
I don't know.
Or if he could put it anywhere and be like, pay me and I'll send you a copy or a link to it or something.
Well, I do know they don't send DVDs no more. Like when we started buying the instructionals, they didn't send DVDs, and I was like, "This is bullshit." I didn't have a DVD player at the moment, but I was like, I would like to have these physical.
I'm sure there's a place somewhere where you could just watch a whole bunch of instructionals for free. I'm sure there's a place to download all that stuff anyway. Not talking about Scott and new ones, but like, I'm sure there's a database somewhere.
Well, If you can find the YouTube videos, they're named differently, but some people have done that with Gordon Ryan stuff.
Oh, I'm sure.
I've run across of them before, but that's usually the luck. You have to run across them before they get taken down.
The Napster of BJJ.
I know Callie's on Reddit. There's been links where Callie's gotten a lot of fitness books for free.
Fitness books, yeah.
And that are like fucking $50, $80
I think if you upload it and then just make it private and then like put a link on Reddit, I'm sure people could access. Isn't nothing where you
I think
or
that's
Google
what they
Drives
do.
even like it wouldn't be hard.
You know, back in the day, that's how you used to watch animes and like old like comic book movies, cartoons.
I wouldn't know. I went outside.
Really?
Sports.
Did you? I couldn't tell.
All right, I gotta pee. Let's wrap it up.
Oh, you can go pee. I mean,
we got like 2 hours or something close anyway. I bet.
I think we're close to an hour and a half right now. To be honest with you, which I think is a good time frame.
That's less editing. Do you have any announcements? John's making his return as a purple belt. Is there socks in the frame?
I ain't gonna tell nobody, but the signs will be there. There'll be signs.
This man's been wearing purple socks every day. I see him since then.
What can I say?
Maybe the same pair.
I'm
I don't know.
officially an upper belt. I'm part of the group. Like I said, I gotta start taking it seriously.
The Barney belt.
The Barney belt. Shit. Did you like Barney as a kid?
It was okay. You know what's funny is
I didn't.
My parents.
I'll say that right now.
My parents had it was like my fourth birthday. I don't know, when I was really little, they hired a Mexican dude to come to my birthday party in a Barney costume. No. And it was like my dad's coworker, so they know who he was. Yeah. Well, okay. It wasn't just like a random Mexican dude. I just don't remember his name. I don't know who he was.
It wasn't the fact that he was Mexican, but it was it was just a dude.
I cried because this guy showed up in a Barney outfit, like was terrified, and so they made him take the helmet off to like I wouldn't be scared. And there was a picture somewhere of me like crying, and this Mexican dude with the Barney costume with the helmet off is like holding me, and I'm like still crying, and everyone else is laughing in the picture.
No,
but it was like my dad's friend. I just don't know who he is.
From a very young age, I don't know why, but I always knew about that one serial killer who kidnapped 12-year-old boys from.
Well, I don't know about that, but he was pretty creepy overall, Barney.
But me, it was like even from that young age, it was like full-fledged. I was like Chuck E. Cheese, mascots, Barney. It was like all of them. I was like, there is a human being inside there, and I don't like it. I don't know who they are. Get them the fuck away from me.
I didn't mind. I didn't mess with Barney. I was into. Well, I was a little boy, so I was into like Power Rangers for sure.
Yep.
The Ninja Turtles. Love the Ninja Turtles.
Yep.
And then, I'm sure I was into like Sesame Street.
Street Sharks.
Like yeah, you're the only Street Sharks fan I know. But
is that it?
That's it. That's my cut. That's your job. You're the cutter.
No, walk up to the camera then and be like. Oh, good show. Oh.
I was getting so sore, and then I was like, all right, I have to pee really bad.